Okay, you may begin.
Computers are so valuable that without them, there wouldn't be any AOL or AIM. No internet where you get basically all of your information from when doing a report, or computer games like solitaire or pinball. No source of communication or email besides letters or telephone. You usually can't think of your life without them, right? They've evolved to new inventions to literally some people's lives. One company is mainly responsible for bringing computers into our everyday lives, Apple. One company in particular is responsible for taking computers from businesses and making them affordable for us to have at home and especially here in schools, Apple. The Apple that I'm talking about is not the kind in my hand, the ones that revolutionized the entire computer industry. The history of Apple revolves around two names. Should I turn off the light?
If you need to.
This is Steve Jobs, and this is Steve Wozniak. Together, these high school friends created this amazing company. First, there is Steve Wozniak, also known as the Wizard of Woz. He was the genius behind the early Apple computers. As a child, he loved mathematics and computers. His ambition was to become an engineer. He followed that dream and received degrees in computer science and electrical engineering. After college, he went to work for Hewlett-Packard designing calculators. Steve Jobs followed a different path. In college, he studied the physics, literature, and poetry. However, he did not graduate. He dropped out his freshman year and went to work for Atari, a maker of computer games. So how did these two come together to create the computers that changed the world of computers? Woz and Jobs began working closely together as hobbyists, designing computer games. Working out of Steve Jobs' garage, Woz created the computer that started it all, the Apple I. Steve Jobs, the visionary of the team, saw a great feature of computers. He wanted them to start their own company for them to sell the computer. He convinced Woz to quit his job at Hewlett-Packard. He came up with the name Apple after his favorite fruit, and the computer and the logo showed an apple with a byte apple. A byte is a computer character made up of 8 bits. Here is the logo, and as you can see, the play on words for byte is shown here. Apple was founded on April Fool's Day, 1976. In order to have enough money to manufacture the computer, they both sold their closest possessions. Jobs sold his Volkswagen van, and Wozniak sold his scientific calculator. The Apple I cost $666.66. It was actually a kit. You had to put it together with other parts. Here's a picture of the Apple I kit shown in an ad. The headline says, Apple introduces the first low-cost microcomputer system. Here's the picture of the part, and it's the motherboard, which you'll be discussing later. Here's the picture of the Apple I computer that is put together. This one is on display at the Smithsonian Museum. Over 200 Apple I's were sold in the first 10 months, giving them enough money so that they could move out of Steve Jobs' garage. The following year, 1977, they launched the famous Apple II, and the company really took off. The Apple II was the first personal computer to come in a plastic case and to include color graphics. It hooked up to a TV set. It was an amazing success, not only in homes, but also in schools. Apple II models were sold for 15 years, and over 16,000 programs were written for it. Wozniak was the brains behind the Apple II, even inventing a way to hook up a 5¼ inch floppy drive to it, as shown here. This brought floppy drives to personal computers for the first time. The Apple II was also very successful in schools, as I said before. Both Wozniak and Jobs put a lot of effort into giving student a PC. They still work hard to give computers to every child. They launched several educational projects, including Kids Can't Wait, Apple Education Foundation, and Apple University Consortium. Apples are still the top computers used in classrooms. By 1980, the Apple II had earned $139 million. The company went public, and Jobs, 25, and Wozniak, 30, were millionaires. To go public means to offer shares of the company to the public. The Apple II is a failure. The Apple II is a failure since it couldn't compete with another company's PC, the new IBM PC. Also, other companies were entering the computer market, such as Radio Shack and Commodore. These companies made computers that worked just like the IBM PC. They were called clones. To compete better, Jobs brought in outsiders to help run the company, such as John Sculley from Pepsi. This is Steve Jobs and this is John Sculley. John Sculley became president. Also, Jobs began on a new type of computer that was designed to be easy to use by everyone. It used graphical user interface, or GUI. This new computer was called the Lisa. Lisa's screen included icons, for example, trash cans, for dragging and deleting unwanted files instead of typing in a command. Jobs first saw computers like this when he visited Xerox Laboratories. That's where he got the idea that would change the future of personal computers. The Lisa was introduced in 1983. It was revolutionary, but did not sell well because it cost too much, $10,000. Although the Lisa was a failure, Jobs convinced Woz to work on a new project, the new PC Macintosh. However, before he could work on it, Jobs got in an awful plane crash, which caused him to lose his memory for a while. Then he took a leave of absence to return to college. He used the name Rocky Clark and to work on hobbies such as music. Woz resigned from Apple in February 1985. He was worth $45 million when he left. In 1984, Apple launched the amazing new computer, the Macintosh. It was based entirely on GUI software and was also affordable. It was introduced in a now famous Super Bowl commercial. This was the first time the Super Bowl was used for an innovative commercial. What you'll see, I would like to show you the commercial now. What you'll see in the commercial is men dressed in gray and a woman in colorful clothing. The men in gray represent IBM and all the computer clones. The woman dressed in colorful clothing represents Apple, something new and totally different. Should I bring it over here?
Back it up. Fantastic. And then just move that one over. Excellent. All you have to do is push the forward button.
Okay, should I try and get full screen?
Oh.
See why not.
Oh. you know it, they're referring to the book 1984. Mhm.
The Mac was a big success. Over 500,000 people were using them within a year. Jobs continued to market it to people as an alternative to boring PCs, which are not based on GUI. However, in 1985, Scully and Jobs began to argue over what Apple should do next. The Apple Board of Directors voted in favor of Scully, and Jobs resigned later that day, September 1985. So in 1985, both Woz and Jobs were gone from Apple. Apple did not do too well the next 2 years, laying off 1,200 of its 6,000 workers. IBM had come out with Windows, which looked like the Mac GUI. So in 1987, the Mac II was launched and was a success. But they sold 50,000 a month. But a new version of Windows in 1990, which closely imitated the Mac, hurt Apple again. So in 1993, Scully was asked to resign. The next 5 years were up and down for Apple, mainly down. They did come up with some great products, such as the Power Mac, selling over 1 million of them. But it wasn't until 1997 that Apple made a big announcement that it would turn it around, that it would purchase a company called Next Computer, which was owned by Steve Jobs. Jobs was returning to Apple. When Jobs had left 12 years earlier, he had started a couple of companies. One was Next Computer, which was going to make great PCs for education. Next did not do too well, however. Another small company Jobs bought, the computer animation company Pixar, did great. It has created Monsters, Inc., Bugs Life, and Toy Story. So as I said, Steve Jobs rejoined Apple. This is a picture of what he looked like when he rejoined. And he basically took over everything. Jobs has made lots of changes. First, he made a deal with Microsoft that Microsoft Office programs would run on Apple computers.
Excuse the interruption. We're going to have a fire drill in about 3 or 4 minutes. A fire drill in 3 or 4 minutes. Thank you.
That's okay.
He also announced a whole new computer design in '98, the iMac. It's a picture of the iMac. The next year, they created the iBook. Apple was successful again. And now I'm going to show you some of the latest computer designs. So I said this is the iBook. This is the picture, another picture of the iMac. They came out with different designs. And Apple is the only computer to have the computer and the monitor all in one. So this is the one piece. Soon they created the Mac G4, which is able to show pictures like this. And this is a picture of the latest version of the iMac.
Oh.
Oh, it's one of those round edges.
What? Apple is responsible for creating many things that all of us are used to seeing on all computers. How many of you have seen this term? Well, WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. Basically, when you look on the screen, you can see typefaces, type modes, such as bold or italics, and colors the way the printed page will look. We cannot imagine using a computer without WYSIWYG. However, it was Apple who took us from this This is a picture of
If you raise it up a little bit, Lindsay, to the top of the machine, we can see, oh, yeah.
This
And you get
is-
an idea.
called Microsoft DOS. It's
Yeah.
what you had for Apple's GUI. To this. This is a Microsoft Word document. And what I just showed you was the same document, just on DOS and on Microsoft Word. MS-DOS stands for Microsoft Disk Operating System. We had MS-DOS before we had Apple's GUI. As you saw, it wasn't very much. Before on DOS, we couldn't see the bold or italics while we were typing. We had to type in a character, which acted as a command before and after the word. Then we had no way of telling if the command had worked until we printed the document. If it hadn't, we'd have to print it all over again. There are many things on a computer that Apple invented, but we never recognized them as one of Apple's magnificent creations. Their innovations have become so useful and so popular that they are now standard on today's computers. These innovations include the mouse, the CD-ROM, color graphics, WYSIWYG, as I said before, seeing typefaces such as bold and font.
All right, wait.
WYSIWYG includes seeing typefaces such as bold and fonts such as ClonMT on the screen while you're typing. They also invented a data-saving device such as the 3.5-inch diskette. They made this the standard size as opposed to the 5.25-inch floppy. The reason why they wanted to do something different as opposed to the 5.25-inch is because it was floppy, big, and one touch or scrape right here would ruin all of your data saved on here. So they created this, which was smaller, more sturdy, and your data was saved in here. Capacities aren't small difference. They made Easy Connect connectors Easy Connect. Things like Easy Connect connectors make it easier to connect a peripheral. We'll get more into peripherals later. You plug this into the back of your computer. Before you needed a screwdriver to fasten it into the back of your computer. Now you can just use your fingers. That's why they're called Easy Connect. Today we take for granted our personal computers. How many have personal computers at home? Basically most of you. Personal computers are everywhere and are getting cheaper and cheaper and more powerful. We are close to recognizing Steve Jobs' dream that everyone, including children, have access to computers. IBM would not have gotten into the personal computer business if it weren't for Apple and all the money that Apple was making. Today there are two types of PCs, Apple's and what we just call PCs. I can never imagine what it was like to have to build one of those magnificent creations, to transfer ideas on paper to reality. What is inside a computer anyways? The past 25 years, technology has advanced, of course. However, the basic parts or components that make up a personal computer are basically the same. I would like to show you some of those now. Today, most of us do not know what is inside our PC. We just buy it and plug it in. Not too long ago, though, people constantly open the back of their computers to add memory, cards to add printers, modems, or anything else needed to make the computers work. Apples today are so simple, they're just called plug and play. Just plug anything in, and the computer is smart enough to make it work. Like I said, most of us do not know what is inside our PCs, unless you count those little stickers that say Intel inside. That tells you the Intel microprocessor is used. Here's basically what you see when using a computer. As you can see, I've reconstructed an iMac. There's the screen and buttons and icons. But if you look inside a computer, you see something totally different. Here are the basic pieces of all computers. The pieces haven't changed since the first computers. They have just gotten smaller and faster. There is the Central Processing Unit, or CPU. This is the brain of the computer. It is also called the microprocessor. The faster, the better. Apple I ran at 1 megahertz. Today, most of us have computers that run over 1 gigahertz. It's over 1,000 times faster. Memory, also called random access memory or RAM. The amount of memory a computer has means it can run more complicated programs. The more memory, the better. Power supply, of course, for the fan to keep it cool inside the PC. I do not have an example of a power supply. Storage. This has progressed from audio cassette tapes used in the early Apples to hard drives, CD drives, and DVDs. This is a hard drive. It holds up to 40 gigabytes. That's over 20,000 times more memory than what Apple I's floppies could store. There's the peripherals card. A peripheral is anything that hooks up to a computer. Normally, this is what you see on the side of your computer, to plug anything in. But what you don't see is the actual card. Lastly, there is the motherboard. The motherboard is where you assemble all of the computer parts into one piece, as you see I have done here. The motherboard acts as a head operator, and is where all the pieces can fit together to form one. At the end of my presentation, I'll pass around the pieces. As you can see, Apple has changed a lot over the years. It has gone from this, made by two people, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak in Steve Jobs' garage,
You can take down the red one.
to this. This is the latest item, made in a huge company by thousands of employees. I know that most of you want Apples to leave schools and to be replaced by PCs, or want Apple to go out of business. But if they did, we will be missing out on much, much more than we may think. All of the new inventions or characteristics on computers most of the time start out on Apples and PCs copy them. So really, what seems to make the PC so great, we wouldn't have if it weren't for Apple. So I know that I definitely would not want Apple to leave, because if they did, we may never know what they will come out with next or what the future holds for this amazing company. If Apple was gone, who knows what we'd miss. For my audience participation, this course
Yes.
is in the folder that I handed you. The yellow folder.
In the bag. There you go.
You are an inventor and you have just decided to create a new invention for the next generation computer. Come up with at least 2 inventions and a name for each. You may work in your groups or with a partner. Use the spaces provided, and if you have time, draw a picture on the back of the sheet. Be creative and have fun.
Okay, read it again.
You are an inventor and you have just decided to create a new invention for the next generation computer. Come up with at least 2 inventions and a name for each. You may work in your groups or with a partner. Use the spaces provided, and if you have time, draw a picture on the back of the sheet. Be creative and have fun.
So basically, you're telling us to create a computer that has different,
like just 2 new inventions. I have it on sheets, like I made copies.
Yes, you do. Okay.
So but the inventions have to be like compatible with the computer, right?
Be like, just like new.
2 new things that a computer could do is the way I'm looking at it.
yeah.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Like, you know, a computer can do 2 new things that it can't do yet.
Yeah. It says either in your groups or with a partner. You can also work by yourself. So cool.
I do that all the time. No memory. Like, remember what Steven? Lindsay. Yeah, we can
I'll be here. Pasties your hand. Be careful because vodka sugar. These little spikes actually Do any of you want an apple? This is just like
You need to get me my red lunch bag. How many you got?
I don't know how many you want. Should I count? You each want.
Second one is automatic substitute. Yeah, like you can say. And then if you say if you talk to him on the street, but
What do they do? Evan, what do they do?
oh yeah, I'm kind of little purchase. You can exchange money.
Places to take food and come out.
Lindsay, I'm ready to go to this for
You mean the jump?
Cancel today and tomorrow. Thank you.
Do you guys
All right, there's extras up front if you want.
I honestly don't You wouldn't know.
There's extras up front if you want, as I feed my puppies.
Hi. Hi, Mom and Dad. Hi, Mom.
They don't want you, they have a kid already.
What?
They have a kid already, they don't need you.
So then,
Until your hand just like go in the thing. Okay, did you hear? Okay, so write it down. Write it down. Did you hear my question? Laura, it's gonna be like your turn. Don't get that.
Laura,
No, but you have to write it down.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Why?
Why?
Okay, we're done. Ready? Yeah, now the glove thing. No, we don't have to open it. Why? We're done.
I don't mind doing feedback. I'll leave it.
Non-accessibility. Wow. Have another piece.
You want to feel good?
I don't care.
hi, Lindsay.
We have like visitors.
Hi, Molly.
Coming your way.
Hello. We have visitors.
Find yourself a place and enjoy.
Everyone's sat.
Anyway, you can find a seat if you want to stay.
Now it's on me.
We're gonna go. We're gonna now.
All right, let's go.
Laura's group.
Okay, I'm waiting for you to quiet down. You have to come in the center. Thank you.
We thought that we would invent a mind reading device. What to do is like sometimes you don't know how to start your report or what to write or stuff.
Oh, so what would you do?
So what we do is we have these things that hook up to your head and it finds all the information and then it scans it and then then it just puts it into a report and just sticks it on the screen. Now all you have to do is print it out. And we would also make these gloves where you take your rough draft and run your hands over it and then you stick your hands on the keyboard and it will just automatically type and your hands just go. That's what we do.
Hi, Molly. Jessica.
No, don't speak until your classmates are listening.
Okay. Our first thing will be called the hand Mac, and what you do is you command like there are hands stored inside a computer. Then they command them and they come out, and they do what you tell them to. And for example, you can command the hands to get you a lemonade and a massage while you surf the internet. And
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
this is the hand Mac. It's the person getting massage and the hands are going.
The second
You
one
see,
is
I'm just a
the,
great artist.
the second one is the Apple, and it stands for the microwave Macintosh. You type what you want on the with the keyboards, and it comes out of the microwave. And this is it. And I typed in hamburger, and the hamburger's in there. Yum.
Yum.
Melissa.
Be careful.
Okay, I did a TV hookup to watch TV on a laptop, and it would look like this, and you could watch your favorite TV shows on
We couldn't see it.
TV on. And so it just, instead of watching TV on regular TV, you could watch on your laptop if you're like in another place, like if you're not sitting at home. And then an audio communication for typing, like you type in the title, or if you're doing if you were doing Apple, the whole report would type for you. Ready?
Here we go.
Start.
If we were to create a new innovation for computers, then we would have all computers have a memory bank that never runs out of memory, and yeah.
Oh.
So and we would also have a computer that has all the information in the world installed in its memory. Cool. And if you worked it, if you asked it any question, it would give an immediate and accurate answer.
Thank you. All right, Brian, then Brianne.
Well, we made two versions of the same computer, but Jordan decided not to join me. It would be a new computer with.
You want to come to the center so we can see you? Thank you.
with
You can say hello to Mom and Dad again.
Hi, Mom. Okay, well, there are 4 screens for the really advanced version, and there are 3 keyboards. One is a TV, one is for video games, one's for music, the other one's for internet and AOL access. You would just put in any video game from any system into the video game slot, any music disc, or you could just talk into the microphone and say what music you want to listen to. And the internet, you would just type in somebody's screen name and it would bring them right to his name. And that's about it. And I don't understand this, so.
Well, if you can't come up with, speak for
And
himself.
one is $6,000, the other one's $3,000.
Okay, Brianne was next.
My computer, it would come with it would come with the new Apple 7,
You can
and
pick that up,
it's a
guys.
credit card type of CD, and it's for creating the website. And since the whole computer costs $7,000, it already pays for the website. So when you create it, the charge goes to Apple, and there's a maximum of $500 on the credit card, and that's what the credit card
Brianne
is.
worked out all the particulars of the finance. Very interesting.
And that's what the credit card looks like, so you just put it in that slot, like that's for the CD and that's for the diskette, but that's for the credit card. And then my next one would be a computer that is portable, like you could fold it in half, and also same with the keyboard. And the mouse, instead of being connected to the laser, not connected to the laser, connected to the computer, because sometimes it gets really annoying, like when you go like that and then it gets stuck. There's like a laser kind of thing that tells the computer which way to move or click. And you can also, when I'm typing up my morning minute, because I always type it up, I get kind of bored of like going like that. So then I wish I had a computer that you could just say what you want to type. And so this computer, when you want to type something, you just say it out loud. Like,
Well, don't we have computers that you can say it and it types it? Yes. Yes.
you do?
Yes.
I want that.
And the program also reads out loud to you as well. We have that in the computer lab. Scott, he can read it out loud to you. You have it in the computer room. I'm not going to tell you how to get it because all I'll listen to is the good computer reading. I went to it by mistake.
We did, our first one is, it's a computer and it's Mac and it floats in the ocean and it also, what? It doesn't need a name. It's the floater. The other one's the next one down.
Okay, it floats in the ocean
Yeah, it floats in the
because...
ocean, and it's also a life preserver for drowning squirrels rather than put in the water. And I think that's very cool, so it can act as a life preserver. And here's a picture of it. Ooh, and it's called a sky cricket leaf and banana and glassbird. Invention for computers.
Oh, no.
And then don't let them see the other picture yet. Okay.
We can barely wait.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wait. And it costs 999 quadrillion yen.
What?
Yen.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Japanese currency.
yeah, we like yen.
It's the Japanese currency.
Are you
Evan,
finished?
your turn. Yeah, it's Evan's turn.
The other one is a sphere.
You have to read it because we don't have
The
a lot
other
of
one
time.
is a sphere, and it bounces like a bouncy ball.
Like you can throw it downward because it's a sphere, and the screen's on that, and you can like bounce it and stuff.
It's like a Ouija ball.
It's also
I don't know what that is. Yeah, we don't know what those are.
It's
Whatever,
also
yeah.
999 quadrillion yen.
And it's called.
It's called the Feely Vlog Talks Drag We Sound.
It's our name's backwards.
Okay, you can give that to Lindsay. Did anyone come up with a computer that helped handicapped people or people with disabilities?
By the way, I'm your whole video.
Did anyone come up with an idea that can help mankind in any way besides typing out your morning minutes from your mind? Honest to God, did anyone come up with anything that could in fact better humanity? No. That would have been interesting. I don't think you should be calling out, okay? But on a more serious note, if we could harness what we know about computers and help all humanity, it would be a very worthwhile thing. So I was hoping that maybe one of you could come up with something like that. You know that it's Christopher Reeves who is now innovating a type of computer that will enable him to walk. Do you know how it might do it? Think about the ability to walk and your knowledge of the brain. What would it do?
Well, it would I saw on this TV show that they have that already.
Go ahead, tell us how it works.
Well, they put something, like, you tape it onto your stomach.
Right?
And then it's like a remote on your walker, and you press the buttons to say where your legs should go.
How does it do that, though? Do you know?
Yeah, it controls, like, your nerves that tell your spine.
That's right.
That goes up to your spine to your head.
You see, when you injure your spine, you're breaking off the connection from your brain to the extremities of your body. Depending on where you break your spine, that's where the short circuit is. And the computer picks up on the short circuit, completes the circuit, and continually sends messages to the nerves, which then tell the muscles to move. It is such a fascinating field. If you're going to go into medical field, maybe that might be a field you might go into. Robotics. Did anybody pick up on robotics? Robotics are the future in computers. Anybody interested in robotics, you will be able to take a course in high school on robotics to just get a taste of what it's like. Yes.
I was watching, it was a show, I forgot who it was, but it was a famous scientist, and he can't talk anymore because he's very old and something happened to him. So he has hooked up to a computer, and it's his voice, and it's sort of in his head, it knows what to say,
Yes.
and his thoughts, and it's hard to explain.
But with robotics, robotics will be able to do surgery that humans can't do to save humans' lives. Robotics will be able to do many things that humans are not capable of just by being, actually, of course, they're just programmed computers. What a sensational field. Some of you might be interested in that as well. Okay, the world is open to you. Your future is probably in computers in some way. It will touch your lives. Next year, we are going to be an experimental school in Manalapan and Englishtown. We're going to have 25 laptops available to us in the library that we can borrow and use. With the use of the laptops, we're going to be doing fascinating things next year. So your 6th grade teachers will sign them out, borrow them for you, and you'll be able to use your laptops, obviously, without being plugged in. You can move about with your laptops, and you'll be able to complete assignments that way. I think that's fascinating. We are an experimental school, and we will have that next year. Okay, so Lindsay, you spirited us. You did a fantastic job. Not only were you a fantastic teacher, but you had so much knowledge that we have great respect for you. You worked hard, and your efforts paid off. I'm very proud.